we'll record everything that happens in the main session. And like I
Sarah's
said,
on too.
Pardon?
Sarah came on too.
Okay, great. Thanks, Donna. So we do have an advisory board, and Donna is one of the members of our advisory board. So a number of them will be acting as facilitators for breakouts that we have during the session. So if you just got in here, I'm going to throw in the chat one more time, a place for you to put your name, your email, your campus, so that we know who came. You could do it in the left-hand column of this Padlet if you just hit the plus sign at the bottom. So the first thing I wanted to do is just get a sense of who's here and kind of what it is that, where you're from. And so I have a couple of poll questions so we could all see that together. So I'm going to launch the first one. So what is your faculty development role on your campus? And Andrea, who's also on our advisory board, said, I'm all of those things. So I made it so you can select all if you want. So, and then if you're other, if you could just throw in the chat, maybe what your other role is, that would be cool. Let me pull the chat up too. And to answer your question, Andrea, that is a new Zoom. This is a new Zoom feature, the captioning. I think it was released about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works a lot better. Some of you might have used Rev before.
Yeah, it's way better.
All right, so we have 24 of 29. We've answered the poll so far. 24 of 28, we lost somebody. All right, why don't I stop this now? So John has another role, faculty development for faculty interested in applied learning and deliberative dialogues. Okay, John. Someone else here coordinates faculty development opportunities and resources and edits 3 faculty publications. Technology trainer, okay. Yeah, I mean, I probably should have put something along the lines of folks who do instructional technologists or something like this as well. So I know a lot of you are very engaged in faculty professional development training. So I'll end the poll now. 26 to 29 is pretty good. So you can all see that now, right, where you're all at. So, so some of you are directors or staffs in teaching and learning centers, half instructional designers. I know you all have really had a heavy lift the past year. It's been a tough time to be an instructional designer, to say the least. Oh, I'm not sharing them? Oh, sorry. Someone shared it for me. So everyone can see that now. And then we have our others. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share and I have the next one. I'm just curious what our spread is in terms of the where you're from. So if you're from one of the university centers or if you're from Poly or one of the medical centers, how many of you from the 4 years and how many are you community colleges? Great, 23 to 29. Got a few more here. Going once, going twice. All right. End poll and share results. So we have a pretty even spread. Community colleges are a little less represented here. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know this now rather than later in case some of you have to leave early. So we planned on this being the first of a series of interactive online discussions with the faculty development community of practice population in SUNY. And the plan was to have this initial discussion be for folks throughout the system who are on all different types of campuses. And then we thought it might be cool to have follow-up discussions amongst those who are in these 3 different sectors. So, so that is still the plan. And so I'll definitely be following up with everybody who registered for this discussion to let you know when the follow-up discussions will be, and there'll be different days. and times, probably in a month or a month or two. And we'll have one meeting for those at the university centers, one meeting for the comprehensive 4 years, and then one meeting for folks at the community colleges. Because we recognize that the work that you're doing on the campuses, while there's a lot of similarities, I mean, working with faculty is working with faculty and staff. It's similar in some ways, but in other ways, we know that the particular strengths or particular situation and the context that you find yourself in definitely will affect how you're doing your job and the challenges that come along with the work that you do. So I have one more poll question. So we kind of wanted to know what it is that you're offering your faculty. And again, this is a check all that apply here. And staff, I should say, too. Because staff are involved in instruction as well.
Chris, can you please reshare the Padlet link? And then also, I don't see the poll.
You don't see the poll? I launched
All the
it.
other ones, but I don't see it anymore.
I just launched the last one, Robin.
Okay, so I might have looked away and it went away.
It's still there. I have 25 of 30 people who voted so far.
Yeah.
Give you another second. You don't see it, Robin? I know what you're up to at UB. All right, I'm gonna end this poll now and share the results. So, not surprisingly, all of you are creating your own workshop services and programs. I mean, I think we all have to do that to some extent, right? Some of you are actually creating full-on courses, which is kind of cool. You know, we do a lot of that obviously at the CPD, but you know, doing that on your campus can be a real heavy lift. And then, you know, many of you are participating in SUNY workshop services programs that SUNY System Administration creates, either the Center for Professional Development where I work, or I know SUNY Online has programs, and then courses as well. And then, you know, other workshops or courses, and maybe if you just throw in the chat, like if you're not using programs and services from SUNY System Administration or creating them yourself, maybe I'm just curious if you could put in the chat what you're actually, what other places you're getting your programs and services from. Oh, I'll see. Okay, yeah. Oh, hey, Felice. I can't see everybody here. Coursera, okay, via SUNY, yep. Cool. Cast for UDL, okay. You know, I know now with budgets being what they are, it's become a real, it's become really difficult to work with some outside vendors for these kind of programs and services. I know that, and you know, and the quality isn't always as good as you maybe can get or create yourself or tailor to your own faculty's needs. But I know budgets are a big concern these days. Okay, Q, all right. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share. Thank you all for doing that. You know, I do want to kind of get us into breakout rooms. I think with 35 people, and there are 4 of the folks from our advisory board here who can facilitate. And so just to give you a little bit of plan here, we're going to work on each of these 2 columns on the Padlet. I'll put it again in the chat. And the way I thought we would do it is that, you know, get in your group, look at the questions there that we have, starting with the first column. And so the first one will be, what has worked well to engage your faculty in professional development activities? And then I've given, I'll create 4 groups, not 5. So I'm actually just going to delete the 5th one shortly. And then as a comment to each of those group boxes, like as if someone could use that comment feature to kind of capture what your group has to say. What we'll do is we'll take about probably 10 minutes for that activity. And then I'll bring everybody back and we can sort of just have a general report out as to what you had to say. And then I'll get you back into, I'll do the groups and then we'll talk about how you might apply what folks are doing to your campus. And then we'll all get back together again and just kind of have a general discussion before we finish. All right, so I'm going to start the breakout rooms now. I said I'm going to create 4 breakout rooms. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to have to probably move some of my folks. So I see Andrea is going to have to go to room 1. And, oh, Sarah was already in room 1. Oh, I'll move Sarah to room 3 now. Okay, I need one more for the 3rd group. Hang on a second. Where are you, Donna? Donna, I'm going to move you to room 4.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe somebody from our advisory team is on each of the rooms. So I'm going to open up all the rooms and I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
I had to jump out for a quick call, and so
Okay. You're assigned to a room. You just have to join it. So if you go to, you're assigned to room 2. You just got to jump
Got
in
it.
there.
Thank you.
Sure. Resuming recording. All right, do we have everybody back? I think we do, right? All right, everybody's back. Sorry to interrupt what were probably good discussions. So I guess we'll start with group one. It's Andrea's group. Andrea, you want to step up and share?
Yeah, sure.
discussed?
So we put a lot of stuff in there. One of the things that let's start our conversation with was that one of the people in the group had surveyed their faculty typically before that they had always held their events at the same time, certain time, and apparently that was not the most ideal time for their faculty. So they surveyed them to find a better time that worked for more people. One of the group members very bravely did open office hours with a team of 1 or 2, I can't remember, and that were extremely popular, but so popular that left them very exhausted and were unable to sustain the level of popularity that they had, but that people seem to really appreciate these open office hours. People have held course design institutes with very clever names that were endorsed by the provost, so that made them quite popular. Course design and instructional design and technology webinars of varying lengths. Quick tips, so that not just one thing, but the quick tips were framed with a storytelling element. So it wasn't just here's this thing. It was in a story. Obviously, collaboration amongst entities that don't have centralized faculty development to support, but more have a decentralized model. And then finally, we have a shared booking calendar, and that's been quite popular.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, thanks. All right, group two. Is that Sarah? Is that your group, Sarah?
That's me.
Oh, John,
many-
sorry, John.
Many of the things are very similar to what Andrea mentioned, but there were mentions of workshops where faculty presented on lessons learned at the end of the semester. Again, faculty surveys were used, lots of local presentations by faculty and by staff. One institution, I believe it was ESL, I believe. ESF, I'm sorry, ESL is something entirely different, had Flower Darby as a guest speaker. There's a faculty mentoring colloquium at, I believe, the same institution. At Oswego, we've had 106 winter breakout sessions with a record attendance, like 4 to 5 times normal. A couple of campuses had put in faculty development courses that faculty could use. Some of them had materials that faculty could copy into the classes with templates and so forth. There was a reading group on small teaching. There was in general, there was a suggestion that perhaps one of the things that we need more of is more faculty self-care. A few campuses had done a bit with that, and a few places had mentioned using online office hours for support, just having regular hours so faculty could drop in and get help when needed.
Thanks, John. All right, so group three was Sarah, right, Sarah?
And sorry, I messed up your Padlet. That's embarrassing, but
No, that's fine.
so we determined that faculty, when they're called on to really help each other, they rise to the occasion, and they really like that. If it's spun out that way, could you please help your colleagues? Offering fun-sized trainings is a good idea, just really little bits that people can show up and enjoy. In some situations, these are recorded sessions, so they can be accessed at any time, but each one is followed by a live Q&A. That seems to work well. A number of campuses have set up faculty support rooms where people can drop in. So in real time, they can come by, again, to connect with their colleagues and also get some real help and coaching in the moment. We heard that late February trainings are a really nice sweet spot in the schedule for people to do professional development.
That's why we're doing that now.
Yeah, I guess you know that you're on to this. Nicole reported that at Hudson Valley, I think it is, they had support from the union to have a day off from teaching dedicated to professional development right in the end of February. So many of us thought that was quite impressive. And food is normally quite a draw. So people were concerned that they wouldn't have that bait anymore, but it turns out that turnout is even higher. And then the theme that seemed especially attractive to people was inclusive pedagogy. Faculty are extremely interested in inclusive pedagogy.
Thanks, Sarah. And then Donna, last but not least.
Boy, I feel lacking. We kind of picked on a few main topics. There seems to be a consensus that getting faculty involved was helpful at most of the campuses. A few of them put groups together. Some had mentors. We had mentors on our campus. At Brockport, they were talking about actually asking the faculty to present on content as content experts about different information. A lot of how-tos were done, a lot of training in that area, and combining and getting different departments that do training on your campus all working together seemed to be a big hit for a lot of them as well. At this point, I think the main thing was people working together and trying to build their content the best way they can, and then go from there.
Great. So what we're going to do now is I'm building them as we speak. 5 breakout rooms, because, I think for this second portion, talking about how some of these ideas you might apply on your campus, you might need a little bit more time than you individually than you had for this just initial brainstorm. So we're going to create 5 rooms. Keith Landa, who's also on the Faculty Development Advisory Board, is here and said he'd facilitate group 5. So I believe, so Keith's in 5, Andrew's in 4, just a little check for me. Sarah's in 3, you don't have to remember this. Donna's in 2, and John Kane's in 1. And I'm gonna, there's a lot. Yep, okay, so you have 5 or 6 people in each of these. So I'm gonna start those now, we'll go 10 minutes, and then we'll get back together at 10 of to finish up.
Chris, you got to unmute yourself.
Everybody's back now. Sorry again. An hour is probably not enough time for this to do it really well. So we will have follow-up sessions, which will inform you all directly who registered for this. But why don't we go ahead and start with group 1, what came up in yours, and I'm willing to keep this open past 3. I know many of you probably have to jet, but if we want to just have a kind of free-ranging discussion with whoever can stay past 3, I'll stick around. So with that said, group 1.
Okay, there were a few things that came up. One is that a couple of campuses suggested doing more shorter presentations, 15 to 30-minute sessions, and also the topic of maybe doing more Ignite sessions with shorter term presentations, which would reduce the anxiety that faculty may feel about participating to get more people involved. Having more faculty involved in presentations in general, rather than just relying on instructional designers and teaching center staff, was helpful. The suggestion of perhaps running some reading groups on campuses. And also a few people were talking about putting together a new to online teaching workshop for those people who may still be transitioning.
Thanks, John. Yeah, and I just put in the chat, Ignites are 6 minutes and 40 seconds. We're not doing them at CIT this year, but when we typically have face-to-face CIT, we have those, and those are fun. All right, group 2.
All right, with group 2, we spent a lot of time talking about virtual training and virtual replacing face-to-face meetings. And Marie from Purchase brought up some good ideas on one of the main reasons why the virtual actually worked better was because a lot of the faculty could not come to campus because of the area that they were living in was farther away from campus, and it took them longer to get in there. So taking a lot of the sessions virtual were actually better and higher attended. And one of the things she brought up I thought was very interesting is she actually set up sessions where it was a virtual waiting room. She would set up a specific time that she would meet with faculty, but you were admitted in order as to who came first, and she would work with that person one-on-one and then admit the next person in and work with that person one-on-one. So I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. And I'll have to try that out and see how our faculty feel about it. She did say that sometimes they had to wait for 2 hours before they were admitted into from the waiting room. So that'd be interesting to try.
Thanks, Donna. Yeah. Group 3. Sorry, I forget who did that one.
We spent a lot of time getting to know each other. So some of the things that came up that don't quite apply to applying this to address our concerns. We just thought about different reporting structures and different ways that IT and faculty development, more broadly speaking, intersect, and who reports to provost and who reports to academic computing kind of structures. It seems like there's some grant funding teaching and learning that goes on, so it might be really good for people to know more about grant opportunities available. Stipends are very, very appealing to faculty members. In one case, 95 people signed up thinking they'd get a stipend and they didn't all. Working with Collaborate and Ally to work on remediation and accessibility is also really, really important. So I'm not sure I'm applying solutions to problems, but we were really interested in just learning about what IT support and what faculty development look like as a intersecting team activity on different campuses. And we also really want all 64 campuses to have teaching and learning centers and opportunities, because the faculty certainly need that and only half of them have it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the one thing that, hasn't changed in the years I've been doing this job at SUNY, is that only about half of the campuses have a dedicated teaching and learning center. Others have people at who are kind of responsible for that, but it might be a course release or just a small part of their job. So yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sarah. Group 4, I guess Andrea's group.
So we talked about also having the faculty reading circles, having a video repository. Nope, you know the word I'm saying. No, I can't do it. For that makes to have short videos of things, because it seems that the just right bite is what everybody is looking for here, and then having an appropriate blend of technical support and instructional design support is something that we're always trying to achieve, because many of us are not technical support and some of us are, but most of us are sort of pedagogy and instructional design support. So it sounds like the other group that just went had that same conversation with regards to reporting or structure and whatnot.
Yeah, I know. Like I heard, I forget which group it was in. I think it was yours, Andrea. The challenge of trying to get some folks past the technical piece, to think about pedagogy and how frustrating that can be, but it takes, I think it's, if we're able to be patient, it pays off, right? Because I think, you got to start somewhere, right? And for some people, that those things that we think of as, that's so simple. How can you not know how to do that? If that, it gets in their way and they perceive that we're not going to have patience with them, they may never come back. So
I agree.
I feel your pain though. All right, last group. Keith, thank you for stepping in. I kind of threw Keith under the bus there and put him in group 5, even though he was doing 2 meetings at the same time earlier. So thanks, Keith.
How many of us have not double zoomed or triple zoomed these days, right? I think the ideas that were popular in group 5 were ones that have already been talked about, but I can maybe add some points. The idea of having, kind of the office hours, and so some of the things that came up in our breakout room was, open versus scheduled. Do you direct faculty to a booking program? And many of them are in the comments for our little Padlet block, different scheduling tools so that who's coming in when, or do you just have open? Do you have open with waiting rooms like when Marie was talking about how she handled it, or John's comment in the chat where they've got kind of open office hours, but with multiple people in different breakout rooms. And so depending on what the faculty member wants to deal with, they're directed to work with a different person in a different breakout room. I mean, that would be ideal if we had more people. The idea of short sessions, the idea of chunking, of us practicing what we preach when we tell faculty that you shouldn't have hour-long videos up in your course. You should chunk your lecture materials, that we chunk our training as well. So I mentioned that on our YouTube channel, we've got the recordings of all of the dozens of workshops that we've had for faculty since February, over the summer and into the fall. But a faculty member doesn't necessarily want to go watch a hour-long recording of a workshop on how to use Perusall for social annotation. And so I've also put up the 6, 7, 8 minute long kind of, here's what you need to know how to add Perusall to your Moodle course, those kinds of things. I don't know that we've plowed any ground other than that. So I guess that's our report out.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. I mean, we're at time, so if folks have to go, of course, take off. But one thing I just will comment in listening to all of you talk is that what we didn't hear, and you kind of alluded this to a little bit there at the end, Keith, is that we didn't hear a lot about the traditional workshop. And I think I think a lot of people, what I've heard from many people on campus is that just doesn't work. It's a lot of time invested for not a lot of payoff. I don't know. Do you have a thought on that, Keith?
Well, yeah, I would. One comment I made was we're thinking about what's gonna hold over from our pandemic experience after the pandemic is over, and I may start having on-campus sessions in our TLTC conference room. I will always have the option for faculty to come into those through Zoom, because our participation just skyrocketed when faculty could just come onto Zoom. But one comment I did make is that we should probably more often, and we're guilty of it right now, schedule 50 or 55-minute meetings rather than 60-minute meetings, because we're going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And now I know there are people who are jumping off of here to get to a 3 o'clock meeting, and there's been no break in between. And so this, our campus governance leader has this, I forget what Dan says it, but basically do not schedule meetings to go, to the hour. And I think I need to be more cognizant of that as we go forward.
Yeah, like all good ideas, though, everyone's got to be. We tried to do that in the faculty development conference in October, and I was starting on a quarter hour here and bringing in 10 minutes, and we got a few people complain like I could never figure out when I had to be where. What 2:55? What do you mean 2:55? So, but I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think that we do need those breaks, and what we're doing is we're going late to meetings or we're leaving early. So. Feel free to go, folks, if you need to go. But yeah, I hear you, definitely. Anybody else want to, I mean, those of you that can stick around, anything you want to chime in and talk about? We will have, I said earlier, follow-up meetings by sector. So you'll be hearing from me for more discussion. But yeah, Felice.
Yeah, so I'm at SUNY Poly for 5 months. I get this tiny little window to make it worthwhile to have a faculty academy, and I'm there as a faculty member 40% of the time and running this faculty academy 60% of the time. So I'm like high speed, doing as much as I can. So this group has been really helpful, and I don't want to diss workshops because I've been doing a workshop early in the week and like a makerspace on Fridays. And so the workshops are recorded and some faculty are coming, and I'm getting more, it started with 27, went down to like 10, and now it's hovering around there, which is very manageable. And then people are watching that video and coming to this makerspace on Friday. And so we did the community of inquiry framework this week. And on Friday, we're going to pull apart the survey and see how that can inform our teaching and learning. We did Oscar last week. We pulled it apart on Friday and saw what we could do with it. And then, I've pulled in our diversity officer, I pulled in our accessibility officer. And so this model of show and make is working so far.
Very cool.
So I don't want to diss that workshop that you dissed a minute ago, but I love these short, like I'm just sending out an email on Mondays, but now I'm going to send out an email, a video, and it'll be, something engaging, like a cute little, not cute, but so thank you all for sharing.
So I'm gonna, I'm never gonna diss any tool is good, right? But it needs to be used appropriately. I kind of feel like for years we were over reliant on workshops to help faculty get up to speed at the expense of things that were longer term and more immersive, and things that were shorter, So I think we just need to have more than just that hammer, right? And I think so I'll qualify what I said earlier. Yeah,
Chris,
Keith.
if I could just jump in. One metaphor I like to use, and I shared it at least in one of the breakout rooms, is the difference between farming and gardening. And so, the workshop, you might ideally get, 30 faculty to show up on Zoom. I had maybe 50 for some of the workshops I was doing because faculty were so panicked and they wanted to jump on. But you touch a lot of faculty, but you have very little impact on what they're actually doing. And so Marie and I spent a lot of time more on one-on-one sessions. I like the idea of the making, the show and then the make, because it's that gardening approach where you're cultivating the relationships, cultivating faculty to look at their teaching in a new way that is more likely to have. I mean, you're touching fewer faculty, metaphorically, of course, but you're having a deeper impact. And so maybe that's a worthwhile way of thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else want to throw something in there? Thanks for coming, Felice.
So at Fredonia, we did a really great workshop series. It was co-sponsored between Online Learning and our Professional Development Center in January. They were 30-minute sessions. We had our rockstar faculty who already are very experienced teaching online. They've taken our course to be trained, in best practices for online teaching. And they presented 30 minutes of a tool they use. We called it something like Tools for Engagement. Those were extremely popular. We had like 35, and this is in January, right? When faculty are technically not on contract, right? They're taking the break between semesters, but we had like 30 and 35 people show up to every single one of those because it was practical. I think what they really wanted was that practical tool that they can integrate, thinking about maybe spring semester, if not spring, maybe summer, if they're teaching in the summer, to engage their students, and hearing from a peer, right, a colleague who's had success with whatever the tool is. Somebody presented on Mural, somebody presented on Padlet, VoiceThread, like, their experience using it. They could really communicate, what the benefits were and really reach a lot of people that way. So
yeah,
that was successful for sure.
They're always popular sessions. I mean, and like any adult learning theory will tell you, right? They want it like, is this practically useful? Am I able to put this into play immediately? Don't give me abstract. Don't give me, all the other stuff I need to know what I need to know now. And not that other stuff isn't important. It is. And we got to figure out other ways to get it in. But I think if you're looking to engage in the moment, that's the way to do it. Yeah, certainly.
Laura, just a quick question. I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
to follow up on the 30-minute tool use
Yeah.
or integration. Was that 30 minutes of discussion and then we'll help Keith here, 20 minutes of a question and answer, or was it?
That's a great question, Jeff. Yeah, it was 30 minutes total. So it was like 15, 20 minutes of like, here's the tool. I've been using it. Here's how I use it. Here's the benefits. And then like 10 minutes of Q&A. And then there were follow-up sessions that were more of like a maker session like the following week. I'm not sure what the numbers were in terms of attendance on those, but those were offered in case people wanted to come back and actually like hands-on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thanks.
but I think they liked the grab and go. I think our faculty liked the show up for 30 minutes, get something that's practical in nature that they can use and then leave. So.
I wanted to
Laura,
comment.
did you record those and offer them back out?
Hi, Donna. Yeah, we recorded them for sure. Yeah, we recorded them and then, yeah, they're available they're up now on one of our websites so that people can go and
Great.
access
If you
them.
know where that is, share that link in the chat.
Yeah, let me find it. Thanks, Robin.
Either that or put it in the Padlet, because we're going to send out that
Better.
Padlet as a PDF afterwards, and there'll be active links.
Yeah, I'm going to go check and see if it's on our remote Choose Your Pathway remote teaching website. If they're not, I might be able to get permission to share the link.
Great.
Yeah, thanks.
I would also like to ask this group, just because I've got this short window of time and who knows if it will get funded again, if anyone has Creative Commons licensed faculty support resources that they're willing to share with me so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel, it would be greatly appreciated. I mean, I will search and find, and I can certainly write. I just want to grow something very quickly. So if someone is, if you have those at your institution and you're willing to share, send them my way, please.
I know that the CEI at UB, the Center for Educational Innovation at UB, is very interested in that and actually received an IITG grant to do just that, Felice. And we were supposed to be a meeting face-to-face of folks who work in teaching and learning centers back in June. That didn't happen, obviously. So I spoke with Christine Kroll recently, who's the director of that center, and she said it's a higher priority for her to, resume that. That said, I don't know if anything they have there now is that distance. Yeah.
Is this website to rule all websites that I talk about all the time?
Well, at the very least, just a good catalog of what SUNY faculty development, professional development resources we have out there that are Creative Commons licensed. And maybe that's the first place to start, because if you have other things and they have a copyright or, there's some restriction on using them, then that's a little less shareable, a lot less shareable, frankly, than, stuff that's Creative Commons licensed. So that was their
CC our stuff. We probably should, like Phyllis can use anything that Binghamton makes, anything. I would, but we don't put CC on it, and maybe that dissuades people. Like I just don't think that we should do that, because I would never care if anybody took my stuff. Like that's.
But I would never take your stuff because
right. That's right. And so I'm just realizing that now that we should just put that on there so that you could feel like you could take my stuff without having to ask. Yeah.
You want to pop the direct link to where most of your stuff lives, Andrea?
Yeah, sure.
If I can add to this conversation, so having a collection of resources available for teaching that are, Creative Commons licensed or OER or whatever has always been part of the conversations. And relating to MTech, and Andrea and I have talked about this over and over, and the reason why the structure of MTech was done the way it is for that purpose also. I've created a copy of it now, so I've actually been able to make a copy. It just needs to be rebranded as something else, but there is a website address that we can now create one instead of technology tools, just the idea of putting, teaching resources in there would be good. So I'm meeting with some of the folks at UB, including CEI Monday. I will share that with them and try to talk further, but it is such a needed tool. So yeah.
If anybody's putting links to things in the chat, if you could add it to your opening post in Padlet, that might be helpful too.
Yeah, I'll comb the chat too and make sure everything goes there as well. So
okay.
But it'll say it's from me, so that.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So anybody else have any last thoughts that they want to share? Or like I said, we'll be back in touch. But this wasn't quite enough time probably, but hopefully it was a worthwhile use of what you did commit to.
It's a great format.
Great, yeah, thank you. I figured you're all sick of just hearing people talk for an hour and maybe getting a few questions in, so. All right then, well, I did record it, so we'll share the recording as well. We'll be in touch. Hopefully your semesters are going okay and will continue to go okay, but good to see y'all. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, Sarah.